Good morning, everybody, and welcome to an edition of Dan-A-Plooza. My guest at this time is international pro wrestler Roni Nicole.
Hi, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Dan, thank you so much for having me. Dan-A-Plooza has been popping. I've been seeing you and your other guests, so thank you so much for having me on as a guest. It means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. So let's get into some questions. Um, can you first tell me what made you decide to become a professional wrestler?
Honestly, at this point, it almost feels like destiny, like that I was always going to be a professional wrestler. Everything that I did leading up to professional wrestling somehow prepared me for it, and I was able to put um, all of those skills and all of those things that I had previously done into my professional wrestling career. But it had to be when I was very young. I had cousins who were in high school and I saw them scholastic wrestling. And I was very interested in just wrestling in general because I just thought it was such an amazing art form. Well, thought I still do.
Yeah.
And it's, such a beautiful, brutal art. And I was always entranced by that. But it wasn't until I saw Monday Night Raw that I actually was like, oh, yeah, this is the wrestling that I want to do. The distinction was made at that point. But it's been a journey, and it's still a journey. I don't think there's any destination for me in terms of wrestling because it's something that has evolved throughout the ages. It's literally an ancient art. So who am I to say I'm going to get to this point? I just want to keep wrestling and spreading the love of wrestling as long as that I'm able. And, the journey continues.
Was there a certain wrestler that you kind of identified with or gravitated towards when you first saw wrestling?
No, because if you'll remember during that time, there weren't a lot of African American female wrestlers around. And so I think the moment that I actually identified was a wrestler with a wrestler as the individual that I am was Kong, seeing
Oh,
her
yeah.
and seeing her power and how beautiful she was, but she would not,
Yeah.
hesitate to take a mofo down, like she that for me, like that was my representation, you know what I mean? So
Oh,
there
yeah.
were always wrestlers that I loved, Eddie Guerrero. I love Benoit even though he's controversial. Malenko,
Right.
Undertaker. I definitely love all of those wrestlers and like their body of work, you know what I mean? But it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
until seeing Kong and seeing another full-figured woman doing what I wanted to do, actually doing it, that's what made me be like, okay, yes, there is a place for me. And I think that's really important, for people to see that there's a place for them to be able to be represented in some way, because we come in all colors and shapes and sizes and affiliations and identifications, and all of those things make up the beautiful fabric of the world we actually live in. And I do think that's one time when art should represent what life is. And so for me, that moment was really, that was it. That was seeing myself and seeing my future and knowing that's where I was going to be someday.
Yeah, that was the first one I gravitated towards was the Undertaker. Just all the
Yes,
things that
right?
he did from the purple gloves, to the Ministry of Darkness, to the
Oh
American
man.
Badass, to
American Badass was kind of hokey, but
it,
also
it
it was
was.
like awesome in the best way because it was seeing him in a different, seeing the
Oh,
different
yeah.
iterations and how his character, was evolving. That
Mhm.
to me was always cool. He was definitely somebody who always kept it fresh but consistent. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
you always knew what you were getting with Undertaker, but you could always look forward to seeing a different form of Undertaker. And I think that's really cool. And I do think that's kind of getting lost here in the modern era. We don't really see characters
Mhm.
so much. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
ones that you do see, they're kind of based in these modern tropes that may not necessarily everybody can relate to.
Mhm.
Um, so I would love to see that come back, and I would love to see the bigger companies go back to that as well with their product. I've watched some of the recent product And it's interesting, some creative stuff going on, but it doesn't engage me in the way that it used to. And I would love to get back to that character driven storytelling, because that's what we all love and we remember. And, you know, those significant characters are the ones that stick out in our mind.
The one that only reminds me of that right now is the demon Finn Balor.
Yeah. And I would say to a certain degree, Orange Cassidy,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Because to
Yeah.
me, he's like the embodiment of a millennial. Like,
Yeah. No
like,
pockets.
you know, I'm kind of not feeling it today, guys. Like, but
Very
he's
slot
still a
like.
really great wrestler, right? Like, you know, but he's still a really, really great wrestler, and he tells a story in a different way. But I do
Oh
envision
yeah.
him as like kind of a modern version of a character, you know.
Oh
But it
yeah.
seems like now you don't, like you're saying, there's so few like Bray Wyatt, you know, doing all of his
Mhm.
different characters. And I think in a way they tried to do that with Alexa. I didn't watch all of that, but I know
Yeah.
at one point she was doing some sort of darkness with a doll situation.
It's a little hokey pokey.
I don't know. I just saw a clip and Dewdrop was like looking at the doll and she was like, and the doll was like, and I was like,
Yeah.
so then I started looking at all of like the stuffed animals in my house, like, don't try it. You'll get booted right out of here. Right. You'll get booted right out of here. But it's like it's not like hokey in the way that I remember the hokey was,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
they're so big. They have so many talented people. I would just love to see those people utilized in some great, amazing stories that I know they're itching to tell, you know, because we're all the same as wrestlers. We want to get out there and be as creative as
Mhm.
possible and release that creative energy in a really fun and cool way. And I just hope we get back to that as we move out of this COVID time, fingers crossed. But you know, always hope for the future. That's my motto.
Was there kind of any great concern when the pandemic started, how it was going to impact you in a daily life?
Oh, absolutely. Well, even prior to that, because my mom was ill, and so I was kind of having to quarantine prior to that because with chemo, you know, they're more susceptible to sickness
Hmm.
and illness. So I was having to pretty essentially stop because I didn't want to come in contact with anything that would have put her at risk. And then
Right.
COVID hit. So I was like, wait, what? I was only taking a break from wrestling and you mean so it's not
Mhm.
so this isn't the hiatus this is like an actual permanent thing for now. Oh, okay. Like it was rough because I was like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Because wrestling is one of the industries that doesn't have a cushion. You know, we don't have a wrestlers union that can help us, you know, and it's definitely challenging because we are all independent contractors. Even when you work for the you're still
Oh
an
yeah.
independent contractor. And so it was scary, Dan. It was really
Oh
scary
yeah.
because I was making all of these plans, thinking to the future of when my mom was going to get better. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And so that also affected those plans. But, you know, then that cut all the travel that I wanted to do to Japan, that cut all the travel to Europe, you know, everything just screeched to a halt. And when you have transitioned into that's how you make your income, it's definitely challenging. um,
It's kind of
when
like the
all of
plug
that,
was pulled.
oh my gosh. And so I felt like Ant-Man, like when he put on the suit and he did the thing and he was like,
Yeah.
whoa, and then he went down the drain and everything just kept like, yes, it was like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so there were some times where I was able to be a part of like some cool cinematic matches. And of course, I was still
Mhm.
training and keeping in ring shape and working customs once that opened back up. Big
Right.
shout out to Slam and Ladies and Lexi Fife. But in terms of the live show and the aspect and the energy that you actually want, you
Yeah.
know, and
Feed off.
that really, you know, walking out to that crowd, that was, oh my gosh. And it's hard because we're all wrestlers because not only do we love this, but we're also exercising that part of ourselves in the ring that we don't let everybody see. People don't understand that wrestling is also a part and a point of catharsis for a lot of people who wrestle.
Hmm.
And without that, there were I myself was challenged, you know, but I do see how it affected a lot of people in the community. And there are a lot of people who did not come back. And that,
Right.
that made me really sad that, they aren't in the business, but of course, I respect their decision to do what is best for them.
Hmm.
But it did make me sad that we hadn't created a space in wrestling where people actually felt comfortable and like empowered to come back to the business and to keep, sharing this art with everyone. And I do think that we have a lot of work to do in that regard, especially with all of these things that are coming out recently, with things like Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
It's time and been past time that we clean that out, because how can we expect to sustain the business and move forward in a way that, in 2030 we're still doing incredible things with professional wrestling if we don't acknowledge and, clean our closet, so to speak. So I definitely am looking forward to what wrestling has to offer. As I said, I don't really think we're out of COVID time. At least here in North
No.
Carolina, our cases are creeping back up. And so I know that's happening in a lot of places here and across the nation. And so that's another, point of concern. Is what's going to happen to the wrestling environment if there's another potential shutdown, or limitations are enforced about what to do. So hopeful for the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the newest project you're working on?
Well, right now I'm actually doing a lot of work outside of wrestling in the activism space. I have always done that, but the pandemic actually gave me more opportunity to get involved. And especially after May 25th, with the untimely death of George Floyd, that
Right.
changed a lot of things for, I feel, everyone in the world. But for me
Hmm.
personally, I wanted to find a way to help and get involved. And that led me to the George Floyd Foundation, which will actually be based here with its physical structure in Raleigh, because George is originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina,
Okay.
before relocating with his family. Yes. And so his family that is still here in the North Carolina area, we're working to create the George Floyd Memorial Center, and I'm the cultural arts director. Our big event is actually happening later tonight in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We're having a music, slam poetry, and spoken word fundraising event. I'm so excited. um, it's definitely challenging, because I'm used to just body slamming and doing all that, but this is a different type of focus, and
Yeah.
it's different a different type of responsibility because of how George's death changed the world,
It
and what
did.
the center aims to do moving forward is really inspire others to make those changes within their communities and within themselves, to be better, to do better, and to provide better, to others, and to do so with intention and heart and integrity. So I definitely am really excited and honored to be working with the center at all. I'm
Mhm.
excited about the event. It is going to be streamed, so if people would like to tune in, the tickets are on Eventbrite, and you can search Meditation of a Powerful Legacy, George Floyd, and the event should come up. And if you would like to attend in person, if you happen to be in the North Carolina area, you can always come to the event. You can get tickets. They'll be available up until the event starts at Eventbrite. And it's going to be at the Unity Center of Peace in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, starting at 7 p.m. tonight. And so after I leave you, Dan, I'm actually running off to finish the planning and preparation for that. It's going to be tremendous. And I'm just happy to be able to do my part. Even outside of wrestling, I always want to leave a good footprint,
Hmm.
and encourage and enhance and do my bit to move forward the legacy of change, because, America's hurting right now. We're still hurting.
Yeah.
We're in a pandemic. We haven't been able to be with our loved ones. There are people who are sick and dying. There are people who are looking for comfort and love and kindness. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we haven't been, leading the way on providing that. And that's because we ourselves as a nation are hurting. And so anything that I can do personally to try to move us forward towards a better future, dude, that's my deal, whether it's wrestling or not. I always want to leave it better, and I always want it to be better. And I encourage others, especially in wrestling, to do the same, because we have so much power to do good, and we should always be using those strong forces for good. So, Dan, you got to cut me off. I'll just ramble on.
Well, we still have time. So Just letting everybody know, I'll try and share that in the group page for the show tonight. So we'll have that as well. I definitely also agree. I feel like now is the time where we kind of need to be more closer together than divided.
Yes.
And I feel like we need more compassion and warmth and understanding towards each other more than ever.
Yes. Because we're all in difficult positions. Let's call it as it is. Race is hard to
Mhm.
talk about,
It is.
whether you're black or whether you're white. It's hard,
Oh yeah.
because there's hurt and there's trauma and there's a lot of guilt as well. And
Hmm.
it's hard to navigate all of those feelings when you yourself may not feel personally responsible for them, you know? Um, and I think that we have to do our part to be compassionate. As Black people, we do get tired of explaining and having to teach and to lead. But
Hmm.
if we aren't open to showing people how to speak and interact and how certain things affect us in other communities of color and other marginalized communities, then we can't expect people to know, because we ourselves don't always reach out and do the research to find out the things we should know.
Right.
So let's be realistic about what we're asking people to do, because we can be succinct and let people know something in a way that gratifies and validates our experience and
Hmm.
educates people at the same time. And I think that's something, like you said, takes compassion, and it takes
Oh yeah.
thinking of what we can do. And on the other hand, we do have to encourage our white allies and our white counterparts to make sure that they're doing the work, doing the research, understanding what it means to be anti-racist, and doing what part they can to re-educate themselves, so that we each bring something to the table to move forward. Because
Right.
that's the thing, we each have a load to carry. So
Hmm.
let's take our loads communitively and work together to figure out how we can do something. Because obviously those at the top don't want that,
Yeah.
and they don't want to help us. So we have to help ourselves. And that's just fine. Because I don't know about you, Dan, but I was raised, you got two hands, you got 2 feet, figure it out. So
Oh yeah. It's like the Beatles song, "It's Time to Come Together."
yes, I love that song. I don't know who's playing the guitar in that song, because I don't know all the Beatles like that, but
Mhm.
they rip it.
Oh yeah.
Rip it. I love a good guitar. Listen, don't get me started on music, because we can go Steely Dan, Eric Clapton all day. Okay. Sorry. I don't know why cocaine was the first song that came to mind. Sorry, Eric. No disrespect to you. I know your life is clean. Um,
It's true. It's damn true. But let's talk about, you also have your social media handles. Talk about what fans and people who are new to following you, what they can expect on these social media platforms.
Yes. So please make sure you follow me on Twitter. It's at Glitterlicious. I tweet a lot and I'm working on following people back. So please bear with me. You can find me on Facebook on my fan page at Roni Nicole /Big Bang Nicole. And please follow and like and subscribe all my videos on my YouTube. You can find me at Roni Nicole. Reading with Ron is returning. Since we started Fear Street, we're going to be continuing Fear Street since it is Halloween. It's the best season of the year. I'm so amped that I can put my Halloween decorations up, because it is October 1st. And no matter how tired I am tonight, those pumpkins are going up. But yes, I'm going to be uploading more media to my YouTube channel. So you guys can check all of that out right now. And definitely follow me on Instagram. It is Roni_Nicole_Joshi Queen Supreme. I hope that everyone is having a magnificent start to the weekend and a magnificent start to the best, spookiest season of the year. And Jan, I love you so much. You are the best. Please hug Tilly for me also, because I love her and I haven't seen her in so long.
um, Speaking of the Halloween season, is there any kind of Halloween movie that is your favorite?
Hocus Pocus.
"'Tis
Hocus
a
Pocus.
glorious morning."
Listen, I love when Sarah Jessica Parker is bouncing around going, come on, come on, come on, like that's
Yes.
the best. And then they keep roasting that boy, and they're like, yeah, the virgin did it. And I'm like, guys, leave him alone. Okay, it's fine. Like, was he irresponsible? Yes. I don't think his virginity needs to constantly be thrown in his face. I'm sure he's aware. Like, it was just so great. And then the guy from NCIS was the cat was
Oh,
Binks. What was it?
Zachary
Yeah,
Binks. Yeah.
Binks. Yes. And then like he's roasting everyone. Oh my
Right.
gosh. And then Bette Midler. Oh, listen. And riding the vacuum and because she's been in a broom. I love that movie. I love Halloween Town. I just because I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween growing up.
Aw.
So when I got older, it was all bets off. Okay. And I don't know what I'm gonna do for Halloween because like I said, we're still in kind of pandemic time right now, but I am dressing up regardless. My costume is gonna be amazing. I'm not telling, but I'm so excited. It's honoring one of my favorite TV shows. I'm really excited. Um, but yes, definitely Hocus Pocus. I don't really watch scary movies
Hmm.
because I feel like they're less scary. So
Oh yeah.
no, let me tell you, that movie with the sunken place, what was that? Get Out, that was scary for me.
Oh
As a
yeah.
black person, that was actually a very scary movie. But like now, most of the movies are like gory, and it's like, let me rip your head off. And I'm like, I mean, no, I don't want that to happen, but I'm not in any current fear of that happening. So that's not scary for me. Now, when The Ring came out, that legit scared me. I thought that was a real thing, and and then I was all freaked out, like, wait, because I technically watched the video. Am I gonna what's happening here? Like, I was really scared, dude. So it was, but yes, definitely Hocus Pocus, and then Halloween Town. Number one is my second one. Yeah. What about you?
um, so I actually enjoy the cheesiness of the Freddy Krueger movies, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah.
because the lines are so cheesy and hokey. Like, there's no reason to be scared of it, and
But
uh,
everyone's terrified.
yeah, everyone's terrified. But I mean, if you look at the effects from then to now, I mean, some of it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. You know?
I feel like if they remade it now, they could make it maybe a little scarier, with
Mhm.
all the stuff they could do with CGI and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it is kind of hokey. And I'm like, dude, trying to sleep. Like, go. Like, you're not even scary right now. You're just annoying me.
I got things to do,
I got
okay?
things to do. I
You're,
can't pound Red Bulls and like stay awake all the time. Come on, that's not bad. That's not good for your body. That's bad.
um, Hocus Pocus. Um, I enjoy the character Billy the zombie. That's one of my favorites, and he's just like, and
Dude, he lets her have it, and I was like,
yeah,
and that was like a shock because you were expecting him,
oh
to
yeah,
be still so in love or whatever, and then he's like,
yeah.
"Listen, I am over you. This is done. Like you're basura," and she's like, "Oh, wait a minute," like no, it was just perfect Halloween fun. Oh, and then there's one more. Shoot, I forget what it's called, but it's about a little boy who's sick and he goes on like a magical adventure with his friends
Mhm.
into like this Halloween type world.
Is it Little Monsters? Fred
Mm-mm.
Savage? No. Okay.
No, it's like a cartoon movie.
Okay.
And there's like a tree in it where they're covered in pumpkins, and like at the end, all the pumpkins come off and like swirl. Someone will probably know this movie, but it
Yeah.
was a book as well, and
Oh
it was,
wow.
yeah, it was kind of sad. Like the little boy dies at the end, but he still
Aw.
has like a good Halloween,
Yeah.
adventure. But I just always I just thought it was like a kind of sad but beautiful thing that like he still got to experience Halloween with his friends, even
Mhm.
though, that was like the last holiday. Um, but I really love that movie. I gotta look that up and see what that is because right now I'm totally blanking. Is it the Halloween tree? I don't know.
It might be.
I don't
Um,
know.
and then Tilly and I watch a Garfield's Halloween together.
I've actually never seen that.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I like Garfield. I like Garfield
Garfield
the cartoon.
goes as a pirate, and so does Odie, and they travel to this castle in a moat, and
I really like Garfield. What was the female cat?
Norma, normal,
Nerma. Nermal?
yeah.
Oh, Garfield. And Garfield like lasagna. I never understood that. Maybe they made it with cat food. I
Um,
don't know.
that was my first Halloween costume as a kid, was Garfield when I was like
Really?
6. Yeah, I had like a Garfield. It's kind of like the costume where it was just like where they had the mask, and it came with the outfit. So
Yeah.
I was like 6, and like I had a bag of potato chips, and that's what I wanted to be, was Garfield, and just sit around and wait for candy and lasagna.
I bet you were really cute though.
I was. I got a lot of, I'm like, okay, put more in the bucket.
Right, in the bag, in the bag. Enough of that. I never even got to experience trick or treating. We did trunk or treating at church, which I'm going to tell you, Dan, I love the Lord, but it's not the same. It's really not. Okay. And they like to give fruit. Who wants fruit?
Back.
Right. Like, can I return this for candy, or okay? So it's not a swap situation. Cool. Okay. Like, it was not the same. And then by the time I was able to trick or treat, it's way too old. Like, what do I look like showing up to somebody's house asking for candy, Dan? I can't do that. I wish I had like a little kid I could do that. Like, you guys get me some candy.
I'm the candy tester.
Right. So you guys go get the candy, and
Yeah.
I'll give you something for every piece of candy, because they'll probably want money. They'll probably want like Bitcoin or something. You know,
Yeah.
kids want. So it's like for every
Pokemon.
yeah, I'll give you one. It's 1-to-1. So make it work.
And the only other one was when my friends and we dressed from the NWO when we were in middle school. And
That's amazing.
I got the last dibs, so I was Conan.
Oh.
I had the hat. My hat blew off, so I was running in the distance. So
I miss the time that we could just do random stuff, but I guess we can now. It's just called cosplay.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
No, but thank you so much for having me, Dan. I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of you and how you've grown Dan-A-Plooza. This is amazing. I'm definitely going to make sure I tell people to tune in. You were amazing. Love to you and your fans. Thank you guys for watching me, and thank you for having me.
We're going to look into doing panels, and we'd like to have you back for a wrestling panel. Ashley America's already on board, and we're going to ask you and maybe Wode if she would be the other person. So
yeah, and she just wants some gold. So yeah, nice.
So we're going to try to do a group panel like that.
That would be amazing. And we all have such different experiences, but you'll see some common threads, because female wrestlers definitely have a different experience. I'll tell you what. But that's a conversation.
Yeah, Ashley filled me in on that.
Right? Yeah. And from Angel Gates. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we'll be back at noon with Dawn of the Dead, Helicopter Zombie, Jim Crut. So everyone stay tuned for Dan-A-Plooza, and have a good day.